So, as I mentioned last week, this week's episode of Let's Talk Jinx, we're going to be talking about the new support champion that will be hitting next week, Renata Glasc, or Renata Glasc. I've heard both pronunciations, but the point is they're a support champion. So the reason we're going to be talking about them is because you're most likely going to be playing with or against them in the bottom lane as Jinx. So if you haven't already, this is going to kind of go over their kit, what's like in it, what synergizes with Jinx, which you might want to look out for if you're playing as Jinx against this champion. And we're going to jump over to the surrender at 20 post as a matter of fact to do so. And there are, of course, trailer videos if you want to watch like a rundown of their abilities in motion, if you will. And in the trailer video, she's even teamed up with Jinx because she is from Zaun, just like the champion that just dropped. It was also from Zaun because every champion this year, because of how successful Arcane was, will be from Piltover or Zaun. I'm joking, maybe, unless, we'll see. So with that being said, one of the first things off the bat, as you might notice here, is we're not looking at a lot of paragraphs for each ability. That's kind of nice. However, we'll see how people feel once we go over this. So the passive is called Leverage. Renata Glasc's basic attacks mark her enemies and deal bonus damage. Damage from Renata's allies consumes the mark, dealing additional damage. So essentially, if she attacks somebody, like auto attacks somebody, they're going to have a mark on them, and it deals bonus damage. And the damage from the allies, so if you're Jinx in the situation, your support hits them, like you're going against a Caitlyn, Renata hits the Caitlyn, she's marked, you hit them with your auto attack, it looks like, because it says consumes the mark, so it just says actually consumes the mark from damage, period. So it might not even have to be an auto attack, it could be a, zap, it could be the rocket launcher specifically as well, it could be the flame chompers, it seems all of those probably fall under the line of damage as a matter of fact. But we're going to assume, just because you don't want to use a lot of mana, auto attacks even, is going to deal additional damage. So there's some bonus damage from an auto attack, and there's also some additional damage from the mark. Now, because it consumes the mark, I'm assuming this isn't 24/7 up, basically meaning that her auto attacks basically have bonus damage all the time. There's probably some sort of cooldown on the ability. So if you're going against this champion as Jinx in the bottom lane, and you get hit by that mark, A, you might be able to just kind of kite away, and the ability will eventually go on cooldown. It's not permanent, like think like Lux, her Illuminate and stuff like that. And B, even if you do get hit with the bonus damage in a bad trade, you might be able to back up, pop a heal potion, and maybe sustain yourself back in lane, and then be fine by the time it's back up again. It's probably not continuous, which is kind of nice, to be completely honest. The next ability is the Q right here, which is called, I would zoom in so you can see these better if you are looking at the screen. The problem is, for some reason, when I zoom in, it doesn't actually like make things bigger. It just kind of leaves things the same size, but zooms in like everything else. It's kind of weird. I don't know why that does it lately. But anyways, so that's why I'm reading these out loud too, in case you can't see them. The Q is called Handshake. Renata Glasc sends out a missile from her robotic arm that roots the first enemy hit. She can reactivate the ability to throw the enemy in a target direction, damaging enemies hit and stunning them if the thrown target is a champion. So think of it like Blitzcrank hook, or probably more specifically Thresh's hook, because with Thresh's hook, you throw out the Q. It lands on somebody, and then you have to reactivate it if you want to kind of pull yourself to them. You don't actually have to reactivate it and send yourself flying. So if you hook someone, you're like, I don't think I want to hook this person. Never mind, you can just let it expire. So think of it like that, where when you would press it again to pull yourself towards an enemy, instead you can throw them in a short direction. It's not a long direction. It's not like you grab somebody, you can throw them all the way to Dragon Pit. It's actually a very short distance as a matter of fact. But if you do knock them into an enemy champion, like your Jinx, you watch your Renata walk up, she grabs the enemy Blitzcrank, throws Blitzcrank into the Caitlyn. Now they're both stunned. As Jinx, you can now step up with the Flame Chompers, drop that, kind of chain some CC there, and actually kind of beat up on the enemy bot lane quite successfully, because it's only thrown into an enemy champion where it will stun them. It's not like the minion wave or something like that. You can't be like, oh, I grabbed the Blitzcrank, I threw him into the cannon minion, now he's stunned. No, from my understanding and from when I saw the video, we might go over the video too at the end as a matter of fact, just for the visual learners in the group, but that's the only way it works if you're hitting an enemy champion with this ability. So again, if you're playing against this champion as Jinx and you see like your support get grabbed, the only way a stun is happening is if they hit you. So really, when you see that robotic arm go out, you might want to start moving away from your support if you really don't trust your support has the happy feet and can get away from that, because that's going to be bad. If you do get stunned, you're Jinx, and that's not probably going to be fun depending who the enemy AD carry also is. So that's what the Q ability is. The W ability, meanwhile, is the bailout ability. So Renata Glasc grants an allied champion or herself ramping attack speed and move speed towards enemies. If the ally gets a takedown on an enemy champion, the buff duration resets. If the ally would die while bailout is still active, their health is set back to full, but they begin burning to death over 3 seconds. The ally can stop the burn by getting a champion takedown before they die. Now, this had a lot of people talking for a bunch of different reasons, but for one thing to understand about this ability is if you're playing like with this champion as Jinx, basically you have built-in attack speed on your minigun, and this is going to give you even more ramping attack speed and movement speed, which is going to be great for an immobile champion like Jinx to work with. That's going to probably feel really great with champions that really love some of that, which when you think about it, every AD carry probably wants some of that. Either they're already mobile and this will make them more mobile, or like a Jinx or something, you're not really that mobile, but you like attack speed, and it's great. And then with Jinx's passive, of course, and the move speed, like, this could be really, really good for snowballing a lane with this champion, as a matter of fact. This might be the one that synergizes the best with Jinx and her entire kit, as a matter of fact. And again, in the preview video, it's partly why they probably paired her with Jinx to show this off, because it seems pretty good. The second half, if the ally dies while bailout is active, their health is set to full, but they begin to burn to death over 3 seconds. Now, some people are like, well, didn't we just take out the Kim Drake? Why do we basically have the Kim Drake back up in here? Yes, but also 3 seconds in the early game might not be enough to stop you from dying, from burning to death and just kind of dying. So that might not actually be all that effective. On top of that, to my understanding, while you're burning to death, you don't get full health if you get the takedown. You just stop burning to death. So if you stopped burning to death with only like 10% of your health, you're still stuck with 10% of your health. And sure, you deny the kill, which is great, don't get me wrong, but you're also still at 10% health. So this ability seems strong on paper, and in execution, it is strong, don't get me wrong, but there are some things I think some people overlooked in terms of what could possibly be bad about it. But again, if you're playing with this champion as Jinx, that's also another thing, right? Like if Rengar comes to dive you, and you are fed, or fed enough, like the enemy bot lane's low, when you die, when he jumps in to burst you, right, you could probably try and get the kill on the enemy bot lane if they're weak enough, and then stop burning to death. And then Rengar went, walked himself into the brush that's down there and just jumped and killed you again anyways. Sure, maybe Rengar wasn't the best example there, but you get my idea, right, where it's like, this is something that can be kind of like a bailout card. It's called bailout after all, and it bails you out of a situation, but you do got to be ready. You got to be ready to fight, so when you die, you got to fight for your life in the next 3 seconds. It's very possible. Jinx has attack speed already, ramping attack speed, plus this ability. I'm not saying it's actually a weak ability. I'm just saying, like, you gotta be prepared for it, though, if you want to maximize how actually good it really is. And if you're playing against this ability, well, here's the thing. Again, they need to get a takedown in the 3 seconds while they're burning to death. So if it's possible, just kite away. Like, just leave the fight. If you're in a fight and they're trying to fight for their life, just leave the fight. Don't let them fight for their life. Let them burn. In 3 seconds. It's like, hey, okay, bye, I'll see you all in 4 seconds when they're dead and you're the only one left, like enemy support or something like that. There you go. E is loyalty program. Renata Glasc sends out Chemtech rockets that shield allies and damage and slows enemies they pass through. The rockets can also apply their effects around her on cast and an explosion at max range. So that seems like a mouthful, but essentially what happens is she'll shoot out missiles at her allies, and they will shield the allies if she hits her allies. The thing about it is, they'll go around her allies and also travel a short distance towards the nearest enemy too. And I believe it's a skill shot, so you do have to aim when you're like your ally and enemy is lined up. It might not be for the actual follow-up. You might have to only aim at your ally. We're going to look at the video to confirm this in a second if it's a point and click or not. But basically, that's what it is. Either you shoot out some missiles, they'll protect some of your allies, the effects of it, and then they'll also target some enemies as well. If you're playing, again, with this as Jinx, this is a great protect you ability. On top of that, the rockets also casting some damage means that if you're too far forward, let's say you're playing aggressive in lane, this is going to be a way for your Renata to be able to kind of harass the enemy while you're also stepping forward. Because maybe you're actually dominating the lane. You're the stronger bot lane carry. You want to step forward and make short work out of the enemy. That's fine. That's probably how you would be doing that while allowing them to harass. Between the handshake as well, like stunning some enemies and then comboing this with it too, if you don't really have to worry about the shield part and you just want the damage part, that could be neat. The thing about it too, when you see this go out, if you're going against the Renata, again, I don't know if it's point and click or if it's skill shot, we will see in a second, back away. I know that seems like such bad advice perhaps, but for most of these abilities, all you really have to do is just back up, and then you're probably going to be able to avoid them. So there you go. Now the R, hostile takeover. Renata Glasc sends out a cloud of chemicals that causes enemies to go berserk, increasing their attack speed and forcing them to basic attack anything around them. Berserk enemies prioritize attacking their own allies, then neutral units, then Renata Glasc's team, then Renata Glasc herself. So basically this is the whole, you know, team killing, stuff like that. So like if you have a fed Vi leading the way against your team and your Renata hits Vi with this, Vi will start attacking her team. And again, if you're playing with or against the Renata and you're in that situation, you're the one with like the fed Zed going in, Zed will go berserk and instead start attacking you instead. And the thing about it is, to my understanding, it's just basic attacks. Yeah, it's forcing the basic attack anything around them. So if they're not really an auto attacker, like this Renata like uses it on like a Lux or something who's not even that fed, and she starts basic attacking things around her, even with attack speed, it's not going to be that bad. Honestly, the concept of team attacking, I think, has got a lot of people like hyped or worried about this ability, but it's also just basic attacks. So if she doesn't hit you, like the actual DPS, it might not be all that good. And that's something you might want to be relieved to hear, is that it's just basic attacks. They can't go all out with abilities and stuff. They're berserk. They can't really control stuff. So it's just auto attacks. And if they're not a great auto attacker and she hits them, it's probably not that much to worry about, outside of the fact that it suddenly became a 6-on-4. Now that part you do need to worry about. If you're playing with the Renata, of course, you're in a 6v4 situation. It's great. Start CCing the enemy. You know, if you didn't hit the DPS, go after them now. Like now they've lost a member of the team, and you can take control of the chaos to force them, you know, down even more. But if you're on the receiving end of this, you might want to be concerned depending on who was hit. Even though the basic attacks aren't going to be all that much, it's enough of a distraction though that you have to be worried about the fact that you're in a 4v6, and even if you hit your front line, right, like you suddenly don't have a tank or you suddenly don't have a support, you're missing something that might be protecting you suddenly, and you're a bit more exposed. So be careful of that. Try and keep areas warded where your team fights are going to happening, in case you're fighting against a comp that has like flankers or like assassins and stuff. This is where they're going to be diving you, and if you want to get something like a Guardian's Angel, like that would be the time, really, before such a fight would happen. So that is Renata Glasc's abilities and what she might be like with and against Jinx down in the bottom lane. Really, that ultimate's going to be more prominent probably outside of the laning phase too, not so much in laning phase. There's also the skin that's coming out, which looks like that. The Admiral skin looks pretty good, actually, not gonna lie. For some reason my mouse did the double click thing and closed multiple things when it should have just closed one thing. Thanks, mouse, really appreciate that. We'll be right back here in a second though. It's fine. Can I, hello? There we go. So now what we'll do is we will look down the champion trailer. I believe we want to look at the shorter one because it's going to show the ability. Oh, I can full screen this one though. I will be talking over this so we can kind of get a look at what so you can get like an idea of what abilities match with what. Her voice sounds really cool though. So there's that right there, right? So that was the missiles. It shielded Ezreal. Oh wow, okay, that was the grab as well. You can throw someone a short distance anyways. Okay. Oh, she's just gonna swag walk in the team fights. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so here's Mundo. He's burned to death. If he doesn't get a kill, he's just gonna die. He's just dead. See? That's such a cool walk. I'm not gonna lie, that's such a cool walk. So there's the grab, right? And there's the berserk. So now Camille's attacking her allies. But Camille, you know, could be fed, could not be. Okay, so it looks like that might prioritize an enemy after the hit. So here's the stun. So they're stunned. Okay. There's the handshake. Here's the bailout. Okay. So that was the bailout if it's succeeded. Oh, it does look like a skill shot because it looked like it missed Ezreal. I might be wrong. Hold on. That looked like it missed Ezreal. I could be wrong. Hang on. Okay, okay, no, it is a skill shot. It is a skill shot because it does hit him, but it barely hits him, so it's not an auto-target thing. See? It hit the middle of the lane. Now, they're still dead, though. It's a champion trailer. Champion trailers are always going to make people look really good. Keep that in mind. Okay, so here's what I'm confused about, actually. Hold on. Here's what I'm confused about. Double click. Thanks, double click. Why is everybody berserk? It only targets one champion. Everybody doesn't go berserk. Did I read that wrong? Do we need to go over that again? Hold on. Sends out a cloud of chemicals that causes enemies to go berserk. Oh, no, I'm wrong. It says enemies plural. It's not just one person. It could be multiple people that go berserk. That's interesting. Okay, so you can make a whole team go berserk on the enemy AD carry. You could actually be in a 9v1 or a 1v9 because you were the only one smart enough to flash away or something. That's going to be kind of interesting, not going to lie. Going to end the video though. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next because life can have a lot of kinks. So till next time, take care. GG, get jinxed. Thank you for watching and enjoy pizza responsibly.